camino feo de la muerte. Por debajo nieve preta, pedazo de carbón quemado. El sol arriba en el cielo, ni árboles, ni pajaricos, ni flores, ni herbicidas. Rica Curiel, gloria de sangre.
Mes de mayo, cuando las fuertes calores, cuando los enamorados regalan a sus amores, unos les regalan.
Which language is that? Spanish? Not quite. It's Ladino, Judeo-Spanish, Judeo-Espanyol, Spanyolit, Judesmo, Judeo, Haketia. This language goes by many names. It is the language of the Sephardic Jews. For centuries, the Jews inhabited the Iberian Peninsula, Sepharad in Hebrew. At the end of the 15th century, the Jews were expelled from Spain and Portugal. Many migrated to North Africa, and the majority settled in the Balkans, where Sultan Bayezid II welcomed them into the Ottoman Empire. These Jews, Sephardic Jews, spoke Judeo-Spanish, a language that developed greatly in the diaspora with linguistic influences from many surrounding cities and their local languages. One such city was that of Sarajevo, the capital of Bosnia-Herzegovina. Sarajevo, or Sarai, was known for being a multi-religious city with Jews, Muslims, Catholics, and Orthodox Christians living together, before World War II. Prior to the war, the Jewish population played an impressive role in both government and the workforce. However, over 80% of the estimated 12,000 members of the Jewish community of Sarajevo perished in a few short years, all starting in April 1941. Only a small portion of the community survived by the end of the war in 1945. What would become of the Sephardim and their language? Saved by Language tells the story of Moris Albahari, a Sephardic Jew born in Sarajevo in 1930, who spoke Judeo-Spanish, Ladino, his mother tongue, to survive the Holocaust. UNESCO classifies Ladino as a highly endangered language. Every 14 days, a language disappears from the world. 50% of the world's languages will be extinct by the year 2100. We are facing a dramatic crisis of linguistic, cultural, psychological, and scientific losses when languages vanish. This is a story about how a language saved a young Bosnian boy's life during the Holocaust, and how it continues to be a part of his Sephardic culture and identity.
Unos les regalan lirios y otros les regalan flores.
First language is Ladino, but Second World War is finished with my Ladino because I gone in mountain, after that in internats, in pilot school, faculty, and now live together with my family. I forgot Ladino. I can understand, but my fundus in word is very poor. I can read, I can translate all, but when I want to speak with Ladino, it's very poor. And in our language, much words from Turkey, from Italy, from Portugal, and maybe one modern Spain don't understand, but with smile, you know. Because we have one special language, Ladino. That's my town, Sarajevo. You can see here old tile Sarajevo, and the left side is new Sarajevo. Before Second World War, in that style live Christians, Muslim, and much Hebrew people. It's Bielava. Here is one synagogue, Alcalde Bielava. Around the synagogue, much family Jews. On the right side is Alifakovac, where I am. Here, much families Jewish. And that style here is Christian. And center in Bas Čaršija is Muslim. And New Sarajevo, Österreich make for all together. Sarajevo is one little Jerusalem, you know. Jerusalem, little Jerusalem.
Sercu mom radosti, evo želje njegove, za kojom sam
Cordoba is first region where was Albahari. After Inquisition, our people leave the Spain and go in Venezia.
Davno odšezno, sad je kraj mene.
That's old synagogue and left side. In Ladino language, that's alcal viejo, viejo. Be small. Rich people make alcal nuevo, new synagogue. And before Second World War, when I be child with my mother and father, I visit for Shabbat that synagogue, for Rosh Hashanah, for Kippurim, etc. All holidays we pray to God here. We have alcal dimudu, one alcal, one synagogue for that's people who don't speak, you know. One rabbi learn to speak with hand, and much people who don't hear pray to God with hand, you know. Oh my God, my heart is yours. That's cortijo, you know. That is one garden where after Inquisition live together all Sephardim, not ghetto. We are free, but like ghetto, live together here. Before, in 16th centuries, here was homes with apartments, deal apartments for Jewish family here all, and that synagogue. That building is Jewish school, Hebrew school for learning for young people, and upstairs is seminar for rabbis. Every Sunday we visit here to learn, pray to God, like young people. Now is not Hebrew school, now is another offices because not Hebrew, not school. That's my school in Ladino, Maldar. Before Holocaust, here was mezuzah, but now not. But I kiss a wall without mezuzah. before Second World War with me 3 sisters, my uncle. That's one family, you know, very large. And in Alifakovac, we are all together, one home, another home from my uncle, and about 37 members. We are together for Shabbat, for holidays, we are all together. That is one part of Sarajevo, name have Alifakovac. In that part, all that homes was Jewish before Second World War. That home here is my home, father's home, from my father David Albahari. Here, we call it Chikma. You know, the street not open, it's closed. In Turkish language, that is Chikma. In Chikma, like child, we play here. Much players, children plays, you know, about 12, 15. All children from Jewish family and another, not alone. And when we speak Ladino, another asks, what you tell, what you tell, what you tell, we must translate. It's joke. At home Ladino, but with another child, Serbo-Croatian or Bosnian. Here was in that home one factory. That factory was Jewish, where makes bonbons, chocolate, deal for people, for child. And we have one song, give me, Echu Muna in Ladino, Echu Muna Bombonica, put out one bonbon for me, Echu una bombonica para mí, Echu una bombonica para mí. Every morning we sing that and open window and put out switches.
Árboles lloran por las lluvias y montañas por aires. Ansí lloranles mis ojos por ti, querida amante.
In 1941, Nazi Germany and its allies invaded Yugoslavia and aligned themselves with the Croatian Ustasha, a Croatian fascist independence organization. The Ustasha built the Jasenovac concentration camp in Yugoslavia and rounded up Yugoslavian Jews to be sent there and to other Nazi concentration camps.
In Drvar came one officer from community with 2 Ustasha, that's Nazi army in Croatia, and told, we must leave all, take your gold, take all from our family, and we must go in transport in work stalag. You must work for Germany, and after, when we finished war, we be free. And take my family in transport from Drvar in Bosanski Petrovac, that's a village very near. In railway station Prijedor, my teacher, Lipovac Zvonko, music teacher in first school, told, give me that boy, I want to give water and one sandwich. And told me, look, you must leave that transport and your family and give one iron, you know, to my father. When you be in night, open stick in train and leave that transport because you must be killed. My father told me, tieni esta buca con salud e con la vida. November is dark, you know. And all that people told me, Dio ti bikleva, Bog te čuvao. God help you. I leave mother and father and me 11 years, you know. I cry, I don't know. My father open stick in wagon and I live in railway, live.
Enfrente vi hay un angelo, con dos ojos me mira, hablar quiero a mi puedo, mi corazón suspira.
When Moris escaped from the train, he threw away the yellow Star of David that all Jews had to wear. Moris's former music teacher, Zvonko Lipovac, was an Ustaša soldier who was supposed to send Jews to death camps. But he went against his orders and waited for Moris to escape from the train at night in Prijedor, and guided Moris to find the Italian truck driver, Colonel Lino Marchioni, who would help Moris escape. Italy, however, was aligned with Hitler and partially occupying Yugoslavia.
A music teacher told me that story. Here is Marchioni Lino, who take you and transporting in free region, again in Drvar. I speak in Ladino with him, but Ladino Italiano è vicin, very similar. Yo soy hebreo, yo soy judeo, and comprende todo, porque Ladino es very similar come italiano. Mi dici a italiano, bueno, bene, bene. Yo tengo, yo prendo, yo tengo tú. To be free. Tu sei libero. Tu sei libero. Agora tu sei free. I am alone in Lori in the night, and much have in Lori equipment, you know, soldier equipment, and I stay with one case, and that's secret, you know. When it's open, Lori, what is it here? Our equipment, soldier equipment, I all night transporting to Drvar. In Drvar, when I come, my family is not here, I don't know where is father, mother and sisters. Take me one Serbian family, Vojevic, and every day I eat and sleep with family Vojevic. Lino Marchioni told me, you must change name, because your Jewish name is very danger. And I take Milan Adamovic. My friend who meet me, no, I am Jew. I told, keep, stai zitto, I am Milan Adamovic. I change my name all time, because if Ustaše and fascists from Italian know who I am, I must be transporting in Auschwitz or Jasenovac, etc. With Italian soldiers, every day I meet Italian soldiers, and in bakery every morning I take panioca, you know, little bread. And I don't speak who I'm Moris. I'm Milan Adamovich. Lino Marchioni told, that's one boy, keep that boy, and every morning give no money, food. I was giovanotto. Ecco lo nostro giovanotto, vieni qui, prendi la mangiare con noi, ecco. Italian soldiers have good heart, you know.
Moris spent 2 months in Drvar with the Italians. In 1942, Lino Marchioni told Moris that Drvar wouldn't be safe anymore.
If it's war, I come when is one soldier dead, I keep that and make clothes for me. Live like wolf in mountain, you know, and visit villages, give me for eating, everything, etc. Terrible time, terrible. I be alone. Only in villages were various partisans. If come Italian soldier or German soldier and Croatian soldier, I go in mountain, and 1 week, 2 weeks alone, without nothing, eating grass, eating fruits, and that's terrible time. And I have only one monocle, you know, and every morning when I wake up, I see villages. Where is partisan, I go in partisan region. If it's German, I stay at home in mountain, alone.
Moris told the villagers that he was an orphan called Milan Adamovich. While hiding in the mountains, Moris joined the Partisans, the anti-Nazi grassroots movement led by General Josip Broz Tito. In 1944, Moris was 14 years old. He was in a field wearing his partisan uniform when he saw a Halifax plane with American and British pilots shot down.
5 men jumping with parachute and come in field where I was. And I see Americans, I go on, and when see me, take guns. Who are you? And I speak, sprechen Sie Deutsch? Everyone don't speak. Parlate italiano? No. Hablas en español? È un gringo. Dice, yo hablo español. Mi dice, tú say, I have cap with red star, you know. You are partisan, not partisan, I am with partisan. Can you tell me where is commandant, partisan commandant? Yes, I know. I didn't speak English. I used Ladino to speak to the Hispanic pilots in their groups, David Garino. That was my only way to communicate. Ladino saved my life in war. ¿Cómo hablas en español? Hablo porque yo soy Sephardim. Lo que es esto Sephardim? Non sabes nada. Lo que es esto Sephardim? Esto es una parte di hebreos dopo la Inquisición che scappata in Turchia. Ho parlato esto da mia storia. Non sabes nada, that was young people, don't study about that's nothing. Por 20 kilómetros habemos una comanda partisana, e todos, that's 5 pilots, that's 5 equipage from Halifax, with me gone in Ribnik, that's very near the Cluj, and after that with transport going to seaside in the Adriatic Sea and going to with ship in Bari.
What Moris didn't know when he escaped from the train was that Zvonko Lipovac waited for his family at the next train station and helped them escape to a safe village. About half of the Jews in the train car escaped because of the hole made by the iron stick that Zvonko Lipovac had given Moris. When Moris was living in the Partizan village of Ribnik, a Partizan courier informed Moris that his parents were still alive and working in a hospital. Moris received a letter from them.
And Madri write me, lindo mio Isu, io sempre sogno che ti tengo in mano e ti bacio, ti bacio, ti bacio. Father, know where I am and come here and call me. And you know, I visit my father and father told, how are you? Good. Papa, you say elivo, you say elivo, sì, my hijo, son elivo. ¿Dónde está madre? Aquí, aquí, ven aquí, mi hijo. You know, in that time, I cry father and cry me.
Blanca sos y blanca vistes, blanca la tu figura, blancas flores caen de ti de la hermosura.
When Moris and his family returned from World War II, they lived with the Jewish community for 2 months because there was another family living in their house.
Too much memories, but I want to forget all, you know. Where is Samuel? Where is Dudo? Where is Gedada? Not come back. Another told from Auschwitz or for Jasenovac, I see die and burning in that crematorium. Maybe we are happy because alive Second World War, but unlucky because we must every day cry for dead people.
Yo la quería más que a mi vida, más que a mi madre, la amaba yo. Su cariño era me dicho, sol gozo era mi amor.
We have only one synagogue, that's Ashkenazim. All that's another is now cultural center, museum, etc. We don't need that places for Jews enough, only one synagogue. And we live together. Now we have not Ashkenazim, maybe 50. Another is Sephardim.
Few Jews returned to Sarajevo after the Second World War. Some still spoke Ladino at home, but most of them spoke Serbo-Croatian in order to not attract attention to themselves. Moris continued his schooling after the war was over.
Echo, doveo sam gosta. Mezuzah must be out, but we make inside. We don't like when another people see our door, must know here is Jew. That's secret.
A los cielos va a subir, a la Te adoro, echar, andel caer mi mazal, amane minush, kuzum minush.
Reincarnation is our religion, is not. But if I Buddhist, I want to born not like crocodile, but again man, but not Hebrew. Hebrew is very hard life for everyone Hebrew in the world.
Before the Bosnian War, the Sarajevo Jewish community studied Ladino and Sephardic songs, books, newspapers, and culture in a group called Vidas Largas. During the Bosnian War from 1992 to 1996, people in the community gathered daily to distribute medicines and food at the synagogue to people of all religions. Some also studied Spanish with books donated by the Spanish Peacekeeping Battalion in Sarajevo.
I have now one sister in Italy, in Firenze, and we speak Ladino every time. And have 94, don't see nothing, don't walking, and call me, oh, mi hermano, ¿qué tal mi hermano? Speak in Ladino every time. Mi hermana can puedo hablar Bosnian. Puedo, ma hermana speak Ladino porque acordarse por padres y madres y todos esto. Por esto hablamos Ladino. Siempre cuando oigo español, siento padres, madres, en todo esto, sinagogas, and prayers in lingua ladinas, rabbinas, old rabbinas who speak Ladino. Ma pastime, tiempo pasado.
Bendice tu Adonai, nuestro Dios, de Rey del mundo, el que ha de pasar sueño de nuestros ojos y adormecimiento de nuestros párpados. Que razón y sea voluntad delante de ti, Adonai, nuestro Dios, de nuestros padres, que nos uses son ley y nos apagues en tus encomendanzas, y nos traigas al lagar del pecado, no al lugar de haber a pecado más leviano, y no al lugar de prueba, y no al lugar de menosprecio, y nos alejar de apetitos de malo, y nos apegar con el apetito de bueno, y damos por amor de tu gracia, por merced, y tus piedades en tu amor por gracia, hoyos y enollos de todos nuestros vientos, y galardones, mercedes buenas, bendicho tu Adonai, y galardón, mercedes buenas a su pueblo, Israel. Chao.
Una mañana de frío invierno, entre mis brazos me se murió, y de entonces me fue por el mundo con el recuerdo de aquel amor. Diz, ¿dónde estás, corazón? Que no llego tu palpito, esta grande dolor, que no puedo más llorar. Yo la quería llorar, mas no tengo más llantos, la quería yo tanto.
Yo soy Esther Erna, cabezón de soltera y de bebés casada. Nací en Sarajevo, 1933.
Io sto Jacob Finzi, sono nato a 43, ma non sono nato a Sarajevo, sono nato in un campo e adesso sono in Sarajevo.
Me llamo David Kamji, nací en Sarajevo en 1936, en una familia judía, el padre que se llamaba Aarón y madre que se llama Regina. Y mi madre laboraba en una empresa de ellos y yo estuve todo el tiempo con mi nona. Y como mi nona hablaba solo en Djudeo, y sabía algunas palabras, pero no más, de la lengua loca, de aquí loco, yo comenzó a hablar en Judeo-Español, en Djudeo. Pero en la casa se hablaba siempre en Judeo-Español, en Djudeo.
No te puedes acordar, nosotros hemos en la guerra, chicos, no nos fue por jugar. Fuimos a salvar la cabeza.
Eso es.
Nosotros 4 años fuimos en fuimiento.
En una guerra.
Y cuando nos tornamos, fuimos 12 y 13 años, no nos jugamos jugos hebreos, nos hemos muchos, no había muchas criaturas hebreas para jugar jugos judíos.
Questo è stato un campo italiano e si parla italiano e si parla ladino. No es una diferencia grande. Muy claro que devi hablar ladino de imparare italiano. Es muy semplice.
Había una libertad en este campo y todos hablaban como querían. Entonces los Djideos en Djideo, italianos en italiano.
Yo me acuerdo mucho de mi padre, él sabía muchas canticas sefardíes, muy bien cantaba y muchas sabía. Y me acuerdo de mi mancebés, de mi chica, él cantaba cuando celebrábamos algo, él cantaba con un tenor alto, muy bien. Eso es un sentimiento muy difícil, difícil y lindo.
Lindo y difícil.
Mi madre estaba sus últimos años en Zagreb en una residencia de los viejos. Y muy interesante. 2 últimos años hablaba solamente en Djideo. Sí, es que y hablaba conmigo siempre en Djideo.
Cuando la vejez es alta. Sí. Mi padre murió a los 90 años. No puedes creer. Las últimas horas en el hospital empezó a hablar judeo-español y judeo-español y mi sobrina dice, abuelo, no hables ansina, no te entienden las doctoras. Las doctoras no te entienden. Él se acordó solo en la lengua que empezó y que hablaba con su madre y con su padre. Esto es muy interesante en los momentos de morir de grandes años, si se acorda la persona aquello que empezó en su chiquez.
Tu madre cuando te parió y te quitó al mundo, corazón ella no te dio,
esto es una muy grande impresión, porque yo recuerdo esto cuando son pequeño, con mi nonna, con padre, con todos ellos aquí. Esto es una impresión muy grande en mí aquí.
Esa es una impresión de mis abuelos, de mis viejos, sentir estas canciones, muy lindas canciones estas, muy lindas.
Ma con nosotros va a morir ese sentimiento. No. Vos digo.
Solo esta emoción de mi padre, de mi madre, nonna, nonno, esto. Por todos que es muerto a Segunda Guerra Mundial. Una emoción muy pesante.
Lo siento mucho, Adiós, querida, no quiero la vida, me largaste tú.
קדיש. יתגדל ויתקדש שם מלבה.
אמן.
בעלמא דברה חירותי וימליך מלכותי ויעצמן פורקנה ויקרא במשכי.
אמן.
בחייכון וביום יכון וחייה בכל בית ישראל בעגלה ובזמן קריב ואמרו אמן.
In war, I have only two friends, Jewish. One is Judeo-Stern from Novi Sad, but that's Ashkenazim and speak Yiddish. Judeo-Stern died, Second World War is finished 9 May 45. Judeo-Stern died me in my hand from one grenade 1 day before finished war. Die me because one grenade in Slovenia came and Judeo-Stern died in my hand and told me, I don't know, is it Jew or not? But when die, told me, I am Jew. I am Jew like you. Because that's top secret, If we Jew, you don't tell for another. Judeo-Stern, he have Christian name Juro, and Stern is not Stern, Juro-Zvezdic, because in our language, Stern is Zvezda, star. Juro-Stern, Juro-Zvezdic. And when they told me, I am Jew, what I can do? Not 10 people, but much partisan, I told Kaddish. I told Kaddish when died Judeo-Stern. And have much partisans Jewish, but that's secret. If I pray to God, my Kaddish is very near. Pray Fatiha in Muslim. It's same words. But I prayed to God Kaddish in Hebrew and Muslim in Arab. For that, I am another, Father from all religions, Orthodox religions, and is Abraham. In Muslim is Ibrahim. If you visit now one church, never one prayed, pope, imam, rabbi, don't speak about brothers. We are some from one Abraham, Ibrahim, Avram. We are one, we are son and daughters from one father. Don't speak about it. You must know that's Jew is your brother. That's Christian is your brother. That's Orthodox is your brother and sister. Don't speak about that. I pray to God to make one prayer for all religions, to stop blood revenge, war, and difference in that religion. We speak same words, My Kaddish and Fatiha in Islam, and in Catholic and Serb is same words, but I am different because I must pray in another language. Nia shiakol bidvaro, because I drink plam šljivovica, we call it šljivovica. Why drink it? Drink because I want to remember all my parents, too much families in Sarajevo. And when drink, we call shiakol that. But in Ladino language, big one is shiakol, but little is shiakolitu, diminutive of shiakol. And when visit Jewish community at Shabbat, every old man told, give me not shiakol, shiakolitu. Hi for everyone in Israel, in United States, for everyone Jew and another. I am Ultimo Sephardim in Sarajevo. Hi. Esta lingua con la que me engrandecí es mi lengua Judeo. Me ayudó a sobrevivir durante la Segunda Guerra Mundial. La historia que os conté es como me acuerdo de todas las memorias pesantes y alegres de mi vida. No sé cuál va a ser el futuro de esta lengua en Sarajevo o en el mundo sefardí. Ama esta lengua es un tesoro, es una memoria, es una vida y cale preservarla.
Vinimos a ver que pasen y gocen y tengan mucho bien. Vinimos a ver que pasen y gocen y tengan mucho bien.
Camino feo de la muerte, por debajo nieve preta, pedazo de carbón quemado, el sol arriba en el cielo, ni árboles, ni pajaricos, ni flores, ni herbicidas. Rica Curiel, novia de sangre, su corazón de la muerte. Por debajo nieve preta, pedazo de carbón quemado. El sol arriba en el cielo, ni árboles, ni pajaricos, ni flores, ni herbicidas.